So we all know that Nikola Jokic was selected 41st overall back in 2014, and he's the greatest second round pick in NBA history. He was also selected during a Taco Bell commercial. So let's talk about the 40 players that were selected ahead of him. Were they any good throughout the NBA, and where are they now? The Cleveland Cavaliers actually had the first overall pick. They selected Andrew Wiggins, but they ended up trading him in a deal that sent Kevin Love to Cleveland. Andrew Wiggins hasn't been the best #1 pick ever, especially with the generational hype he had coming out of Kansas, but he's been a good player throughout his career. He had 5.5 seasons in Minnesota before getting traded at the 2020 trade deadline to Golden State in a deal that sent D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota, and he was a huge piece to Golden State's 2022 championship, and he's still a big piece for the Warriors going forward in 2023. Jabari Parker was selected second on draft night, and man oh man, did Jabari Parker just have an unfortunate NBA career. Jabari Parker only played 25 games in his rookie season, but looked very impactful in those games. In year 2, he played 76 games and he looked even better. And in year 3 in 2017, you really thought Jabari Parker was going to be a star in the NBA for the Bucks. He averaged 20 points a night in 51 games for Milwaukee, and then he had another major leg injury, and that was pretty much the story of Jabari Parker's career. He could just never be consistently healthy, and he's still fighting for a roster spot today in 2024, but it's not really looking like Jabari Parker is ever going to be a consistent impact player for another team again. The second player in this draft class was selected with the 3rd overall selection, and that was Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid had a weird start to his career. He did not play a single game in his first or second seasons. So as a 2014 draft pick, he did not play his first career game till the 2017 season, and he only played 31 games that year. And Joel Embiid has had his injury concern, and Embiid has had multiple injuries throughout his career. But heck, he was just the MVP of the 2023 season, while giving the 76ers 33 points a night, in which he was the scoring champion. He was also the scoring champion back in 2022, averaging 30 points a night. While also he's never led the 76ers to a conference finals appearance, he's still been one of the best players in the NBA since he entered the league, and like I said, has been the second best player in this class. Aaron Gordon was selected at number 4. He had a weird start to his career in Orlando, was never utilized to the best of his ability. He really broke out though in 2018, averaging 17.5 points, 8 rebounds a night for the Orlando Magic, and there was so many talks at the time that if the Magic used Aaron Gordon in the right way, he could be the next version of Draymond Green. That never really happened in Orlando, and then he got shipped to Denver at the 2021 trade deadline and was a huge piece to their championship run in 2023. Man, a lot of these picks in the top 10 were really dealt with injuries, and that's no exception to Dante Exum, who was the 5th overall pick to the Utah Jazz. This did seem like a reach at the time, but the potential was there for Exum. He played in all 82 games as a rookie, but with a major injury in year 2, did not play a single game, and was really never healthy consistently for the remainder of his career. He did just sign with the Dallas Mavericks this past offseason, so let's hope that Dante Exum can have a fully healthy 2024. One of the most impactful picks was made at pick 6, and that was Marcus Smart to the Boston Celtics, who played all 9 years of his career for Boston. He was the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, we're going to be seeing Smart for the first time not in Celtics green in 2024, as he was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies this past offseason. Like I said, man, injuries really hurt a lot of these top 10 picks. Now Julius Randle has been healthy for most of his career outside his rookie season, in which he had a season-ending injury in his first career game. And he was never a piece that the Lakers were building around. And when he was a restricted free agent in 2019, the Lakers let him sign with the Pelicans, didn't match any offer. But for the last 4 years, he's been with the New York Knicks and was an all-NBA player in 2021 and 2023, and is one of the better power forwards in the NBA going into 2024. And I really thought Nick Stauskas was going to be a good NBA player. He was the 8th overall pick in this draft to the Sacramento Kings. Sauce Castillo just really struggled with his overall field goal percentage, not being able to shoot above 40% a night on average in his first 4 years. He never averaged over 10 points in his career and wasn't on an NBA roster in 2023. This was one of the worst drafting stretches by a franchise, with the Charlotte Hornets here at 9, and Noah Vonleh was selected. Vonleh played 1 year in Charlotte, then proceeded to play in Portland, Chicago, New York, Minnesota, Denver, Brooklyn, was in China in 2022, and played for the Celtics in 2023. He has been the definition of an NBA journeyman. Elfrid Payton was selected by the Sixers at the 10th overall pick on draft night, but then was traded to the Orlando Magic. I really thought after the 2017 season that Elfrid Payton could have been the Magic's franchise point guard. He would just have the most random triple doubles throughout the league. For some reason, my Knicks made him their starting point guard back in 2020 and 2021. I wanted to gouge my eyes out watching Elfrid Payton at that time. He was on the Suns in 2022 and did not play for an NBA team in 2023. The sharpshooter out of Creighton, Doug McDermott, went to the Chicago Bulls with the 11th overall pick. This was a really bad trade for the Bulls on draft night because because they gave up the rights to Gary Harris, Yusuf Nurkic, and a future second to get Doug McDermott and Anthony Randolph. And McDermott has actually been a good player throughout his career, but he just never really worked out in Chicago, only playing 2.5 seasons there before getting shipped to OKC. But he's really made a name for himself over the last 4 years in Indiana and San Antonio, averaging 11.5 points a night over the last 4 years while also shooting 41% from 3. So remember when I mentioned Elfrid Payton was traded on draft night to the Orlando Magic? Well, he was basically traded for Dario Saric, who went 12th overall to technically Philadelphia. Saric was really good for the 76ers for the first 2.5 years of his career, averaging around 13 points and 6 rebounds, but then was in the Jimmy Butler trade during the beginning of the 2019 season. He did unfortunately tear his ACL at the end of the 2021 season, so he did not play at all in 2022. He was on OKC last year and signed with the Golden State Warriors this offseason. One of the better picks of this first round was Zach LaVine to the Timberwolves at pick 13. LaVine got better and better each year throughout his first 3 seasons in Minnesota, and then he was in the Jimmy Butler trade during the 2017 draft, and he's been one of the better shooting guards in the NBA since coming to Chicago. In his 6 years as a Bull, he's averaged 24.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, while also shooting 47% from the field, 38% from 3, and 83% from the line. And going into the 2024 season, Zach LaVine has been in trade rumors, but he still remains as one of the better 2 guards in the NBA. TJ Warren was the last pick of the lottery to the Phoenix Suns, and this was a really good selection for Phoenix at the time. In the first 5 years of his NBA career, he averaged 14.5 points and 4 rebounds while also shooting 49% from the field. And then the Suns made a horrible trade during the 2019 NBA draft, sending him to Indiana and basically a salary dump. We saw 2 years from TJ Warren in Indiana. That included a fantastic playoff series against the Miami Heat back in 2020 in the bubble, where he averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Warren missed all of the 2022 season with a left foot injury, and then was in the Kevin Durant trade to Phoenix during the 2023 season. Adrian Payne was the 15th overall pick selected out of Michigan State. He was an upperclassman coming out of college, so he was 23 when he entered the NBA. He only played 4 seasons in the NBA and unfortunately did pass away in 2022. Yusuf Nurkic was the 16th overall pick, and like I mentioned before, he was traded on draft night from the Bulls to the Denver Nuggets. And yeah, we're making this video about Nikola Jokic, and there was a time where people thought that the Nuggets were going to choose Nurkic over Jokic. The Nuggets did make the right decision in trading away Nurkic, but Nurkic really elevated his game once getting traded from Denver to Portland in 2017. He's averaged 13 points, 9 rebounds a night, 51% from the field since getting traded to Portland, and is still with the Trailblazers today. James Young was the 17th overall pick here to the Boston Celtics. Bill Simmons, he was an ESPN commentator at the time, really thought that the Celtics hit a home run here getting Young out of Kentucky. Well, he played 3 years in Boston, never averaging over 3.5 points a game. Played for the 76ers in 2018 and is currently playing basketball in Greece. Next up, we have Tyler Ennis, who was selected 18th overall by the Phoenix Suns. Ennis was a standout at Syracuse, but really bounced around in his NBA career. In his 4 seasons in the NBA, he got traded in his rookie year from the Suns to the Bucks, played on the Bucks his sophomore year as well, and then in year 3 was traded from Houston to LA. So that's 4 teams in 4 years. Last played in the NBA in 2018 and is currently playing professional basketball in Turkey. Gary Harris was the 19th overall selection. Part of that Doug McDermott Yusuf Nurkic trade. He was sent from Chicago to Denver, and he had a really good career in Denver. In the 2018 season, he averaged 17.5 points for the Nuggets and shot 39% from 3 and was one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. We really thought that Gary Harris was the next man up. He never really replicated what he did in 2018, and then he ended up getting traded to the Orlando Magic in 2021 in the Aaron Gordon trade and is still with the Orlando Magic. Next up was Bruno Caboclo at 20. People really thought that he was 2 years away from being 2 years away. He never averaged over 2 points per game in his first 3 years with the Raptors, who selected him at 20. Then he got traded to Sacramento in 2018. Didn't do much for them either. He did average 8 points a night for the tanking Grizzlies in 2019. Was traded to Houston in 2020. Spent the 2021 season on the Rockets as well, and is currently playing basketball in Italy. The 21st selection was Mitch McGary out of Michigan. He only spent 2 years in the NBA for the OKC Thunder, who selected him, and is currently trying to be a professional bowler. The Memphis Grizzlies selected Jordan Adams with the 22nd pick. Like McGary, he only played 2 years in the NBA and is currently playing professional basketball in Venezuela. Rodney Hood was selected 23rd overall by the Utah Jazz. He, like a lot of players that I mentioned before, dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. In the 2018 season, he was traded from Utah to Cleveland, but he did average 17 points for the Jazz before getting dealt. He was also a huge part of the Portland Trailblazers 2019 Western Conference Finals run. He has bounced around on a couple teams since, including Milwaukee and the Clippers, and is still currently a free agent around the league. At number 24, Shabazz Napier was selected by the Miami Heat, who traded to get him on draft night. He was the most notable name coming into this draft class because he just won a national championship with UConn few months prior. LeBron James also wanted the Heat to trade for him on draft night, in which they did. Funny enough though, LeBron left to go to Cleveland a few months later. Napier really didn't work out in the NBA, only averaging 5 points in his rookie season for the Heat, then was traded to the Orlando Magic for a second round pick in his second year. Then in year 3, he was traded to Portland, where he did end up playing a little bit better, but with his offensive inefficiencies and his lack of defensive ability, he never really had a consistent home in the NBA, and is currently playing professional basketball in Puerto Rico. At number 25, one of the better picks of this draft, Clint Capella was selected by the Houston Rockets. Coming over from Switzerland, Capella didn't really make too big of an impact in his first 2 years in the NBA, and he really found a name for himself when he replaced Dwight Howard as James Harden's center partner. From 2017 to 2020, in those 4 years, he averaged 14 points, 11 rebounds, and a block and a half a night, while also shooting 64% from the field for the Rockets. He was then traded to the Atlanta Hawks in 2021 and has been averaging a double-double for them since. With the 26th pick, PJ Harrison was selected by the Charlotte Hornets. Harrison only played 2 years in the NBA. He last played for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers in 2017, which was the Houston Rockets G League team, and he announced his retirement from basketball in 2018. Bogdan Bogdanovic out of Serbia was selected with the 27th overall selection. He didn't come over to the NBA right away. He played 3 seasons in Turkey, and then his rights were selected by the Sacramento Kings, and he was a rookie in 2018. He spent 3 years in Sacramento from 2018 to 2020, averaging 13.5 points a night, and then has spent the last 3 seasons in Atlanta, averaging 15 points a night, and got a 4-year extension from the Hawks during the 2023 season. CJ Wilcox out of Washington was selected 28th overall by the LA Clippers. Wilcox averaged 2 points per game in his first year with the Clippers, 3 points per game in his second year, and in year 3, he played for the Orlando Magic, averaging a whopping 1 point a night. Wilcox was last seen playing for the Indiana Pacers G League team, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, in 2020. Josh Huestis was selected 29th overall by the OKC Thunder. Like Wilcox, he only played 3 years in the NBA, played in 5 games in his rookie year for the Thunder, 2 games in year 2, and then did play in 69 games in year 3, but that was it for him. Huestis was last seen playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers G League team, the Cleveland Charge, in 2022. Slow-mo Kyle Anderson was selected 30th overall by the San Antonio Spurs. In his first 4 years in the NBA with the Spurs, he only averaged 5 points a night. But then in the summer of 2018, he signed as a free agent with the Memphis Grizzlies. Then ended up playing 4 years there, averaging 8.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists a night, being one of the best role players in the NBA. And he's currently with the Minnesota Timberwolves, entering his second year with them. The first pick of the second round was Damien Inglis. He was out of France and only spent 1 year with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2016, and is currently playing professional basketball in Spain. KJ McDaniels was selected with the second pick here in the second round. He was selected by the 76ers out of Clemson. He spent 3 years in the NBA playing for 3 teams, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Houston Rockets, and the Brooklyn Nets, and is currently playing professional basketball in the Philippines. The Cleveland Cavaliers selected Joe Harris with the 33rd selection in the draft. Harris only averaged 2.5 points per game in his first 2 years in the NBA. Then he was traded to the Orlando Magic and then waived on the same day in January of 2016. The following summer, in July of 2016, he signed a multi-year contract with the Brooklyn Nets, and that was the best decision of his career. Over the last 7 seasons Harris played in Brooklyn, he averaged 11.5 points a night and was one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA, averaging 44% from downtown over those 7 years. And he was most notably traded to the Detroit Pistons a few weeks ago. The New York Knicks selected Clay Anthony Early here with the 34th pick in the draft. Early only played 2 years in the NBA. In his rookie season for the Knicks, he averaged 5.5 points on 35% shooting, and in year 2, he averaged 1.8 points on 30% shooting, and he's currently playing professional basketball in Taiwan. Jarnell Stokes was selected 35th overall by the Memphis Grizzlies. He only played 3 years in the NBA and is currently playing professional basketball in China. Johnny O'Bryant was selected 36th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks. He played 4 years in the NBA playing for 3 different teams, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Denver Nuggets, and the Charlotte Hornets, and he's currently playing basketball for the Shanghai Sharks in China. DeAndre Daniels out of UConn was selected 37th overall by the Toronto Raptors. Never played a single minute in the NBA and is currently playing professional basketball in New Zealand. The 38th overall pick was Spencer Dinwiddie Dinwiddie to the Detroit Pistons, one of the better picks in this whole draft. Dinwiddie didn't really do much in his first 2 years in the NBA for the Pistons, averaging 4.5 points a night, but then he was traded to the Chicago Bulls in 2016 for Cameron Bairstow, and he was waived a month later. The Bulls signed him again later that month, and then waived him a few months later in October of 2016. 2 months later, in December of 2016, he signed a multi-year contract with the Brooklyn Nets, and like Joe Harris, that was the best decision of his career. From 2018 to 2021, he averaged 16 points and 6 assists for Brooklyn. He did get a major injury in 2021, and then ended up signing a multi-year contract with the Washington Wizards in August of 2021. Later in that season, in February of 2022, he was traded with Davis Bertans to the Dallas Mavericks for Kristaps Porzingis, and then about a year later at the trade deadline in 2023, he was traded with Dorian Finney-Smith and a first-round pick for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. And Dinwiddie is still currently with the Brooklyn Nets. Pick 39 was Jeremy Grant, another fantastic selection in this draft. He was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers. He was part of those process Sixers in the mid-2010s. Then he was traded to the OKC Thunder in November of 2016 for Ersan Ilyasova and a first-round pick that ended up being Tyrese Maxey. He was then traded by the Thunder to the Denver Nuggets in July of 2019. Then in the offseason of 2020, he signed a multi-year contract with the Detroit Pistons. He was then traded by the Pistons to the Portland Trailblazers in the offseason of 2022, and recently just signed a multi-year $150 million extension with the Portland Trailblazers. And the last pick before Nikola Jokic in the draft was Glenn Robinson III, drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves at pick 40. Glenn Robinson was a journeyman throughout the NBA, playing in years 2015 all the way to 2021. He played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Indiana Pacers, the Detroit Pistons, the Golden State Warriors, back to the Philadelphia 76ers, and ending his NBA career on the Sacramento Kings in 2021. And that leads us to the main man of the video, Nikola Jokic, selected 41st overall by the Denver Nuggets. Jokic has played 8 years in the NBA, averaging 20 points, 10.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists a night. He was the most valuable player in 2021 and in 2022. He's a 5-time All-Star and was the Finals MVP for the Denver Nuggets in 2023. So yeah, those were all 40 players that were selected before Nikola Jokic, and Nikola Jokic is 100% the best second-round pick in NBA history. Let me know what you guys think of this video in the comments below, and let me know any other players that you guys would like to see me do this video around. If you did enjoy, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.